Welcome everyone to the afternoon question and answer session with Khenpo Tenzin. And we will begin with the written questions that have been submitted by everyone in the temple. And I encourage any of our online students in the Zoom room to also submit your questions in the chat. And we will begin with the first question. Quote, "On each atom I imagine there to be as many Buddhas as atoms in the world, each Buddha surrounded by many Bodhisattvas," unquote. How does this visualization relate to wisdom, emptiness, and the view?
Yes, thank you so much for asking a wonderful question. And actually, these Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, they appear because of wisdom and emptiness both. The reason everything is emptiness. So for that reasons, these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas appear to us. For instance, our Mother Earth is in the empty space, and the many stars, sun, the moon, they all in the empty space. Because of empty space, they can move, they can appear. Likewise, because of emptiness, then all these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas appear. Because they cannot block. This is the quality of emptiness. And at the same time, they appear, Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas appear because of wisdom light. Wisdom light and luminosity, they are same. So in the Samhita Badara, Kunduzambo prayer, it also says 42 peaceful yidams and these the 62 wrathful deities appear from this wisdom light. So for example, the sun's ray and rain and clouds, these things come together, these things being together, then we see rainbow appears from there. Likewise, emptiness and wisdom light, these things appear, these things being together at that time, then yidams, bodhisattvas, buddhas, they all appear from there. But they always appear, but we cannot see. So, okay, why we cannot see? This everybody know, but later I will explain through other questions probably. But they always appear means luminosity or wisdom light and emptiness, they are union. So they are always together, inseparably together. So that's where they appear to, they always appear from wisdom, emptiness. Then those it depends our practice. When we practice king of aspiration, for example, when we practice king of aspiration, inside of the king of aspiration, it says in a single like the atom, there are thousands of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, as you said in the question. Because this a single atom is emptiness. So, for example, one flower has many petals. For example, one hand has many fingers. Likewise, on each atom, there are many Bodhisattvas and Buddhas. So first, we cannot see it. We cannot see them. But we are going to trust. First, we are going to understand, oh, there is something in each atom. There are many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then, after we understand, we trust. And then we practice continually. And then, one day, we will be able to see them. So that's where my answer is that they appear from wisdom and emptiness both.
Next question. Lots of Dharma teachings describe a gradual path. How to recognize where on the gradual path one is in order to apply a correct method?
Oh, yes. So this in the Suttarayana, it mentions 10 bhumis and 5 paths. In the Vajrayana, it mentions 13 bhumis. So Sutrayana and Vajrayana, they are different methods for us, for practitioners. In reality, they are same, only different methods. So Buddha applied different methods for helping us. So then how should we know? For example, first bhumi. If we reach first bhumi, how should we know that? This is we know that through our experience. We meditate and then practice, purify obscurations, afflictive emotion, and other these obscurations of knowledge and so forth. When we purify them, then we gain some realization, some realizations. So when we gain some realizations, at that time, those realizations are right realization, perfect realization, or there is some misunderstandings. So that's why we are going to ask our guru and spiritual masters. So we are share. My experience is like that, and then after I experienced that, I happened like this feeling, those feeling. You are going to share that. That means we call offering realization. So when you share that your spiritual masters, and then they understand which level you reach, which level you are reach on the first level or first path or second path. And the first path also has different classifications. So which levels? And then after then they give you some path instructions. Oh, right now you are, sometimes they tell you that, oh, right now you are on this stage, so you do this. Now you do this. Or something, sometimes they know you are not completely accomplished. So that's where they say you keep going continually in this practice. So they give you some path instructions, so you should follow that. That's where you are always engaged your guru and the spiritual master. If you follow spiritual master, it has a great benefit that you can quickly attain realize the realizations. There are no more setbacks. There are no more obstacles. So that's where always you want some spiritual master. That is really important. And also, then sometimes what happens is one meditate or practice. Sometimes one thing, this is the right one, but there's no 100% is right one or right experience or not. So that's why it's very important to follow spiritual masters. And then these are right now I'm not clearly answer with specifically. But then outwardly, for example, generally we say tuta shaking torah. Tuta means listening dharma, studying dharma very well, and then this sign or is like a very humble, peaceful, kind of this way. So this is outer sign, or symbols, outer sign, yeah. And then gomda nyumon chua, which means internally meditate. How much we meditate, then our afflictive emotions are very kind of low, or we don't have so much or strong afflictive emotions in generally. So these are the also we understand that our practices are increasing. But sometimes we practice and suddenly there are some very strange emotions arise, and also sometimes there is occurring some obstacles. It's unbelievable. I'm practiced very well, and I'm followed the path instructions. Still, there are lots of obstacles. What is that? Sometimes we are a little bit shocked. It happens. So that means sometimes that is also a good sign. Sometimes it's a good sign, which means you forcefully purifying obscurations. For example, if I have a wound on my hand and I apply some medicine, then at that moment, then I'm hurt. It is very painful. So which means we try to recover from this wound. So likewise, sometimes one engaged some strange experiences. These are not bad things. For example, bad dreams and so forth. So these are the outer sign and inner sign. Main thing is, the principal thing is you are going to practice with spiritual masters and ask continually. This is a very, and share your experiences. This is a very important. And then the sometimes if your practices are actually increasing practice means decrease obscurations, because Buddha nature is always is completely increased. So that means there is in the 37 way of Bodhisattva's life, it says there is neither come nor go. Likewise, there is no increase, there is no decrease. But usually we say increase, decrease means, for instance, first day the moon, and then in the full moon, we think the moon is sometimes become like a half of bread, piece of bread. Sometimes it's full bread. So that's what we see, what we label. Otherwise, the moon is always full, yeah, round. So likewise, sometimes we say it's increase over realizations. This thing, the main thing is we purify the obscurations. The obscurations are very temporary, so it's not so complicated. Yeah.
Next question. What does transforming the affliction of anger into wisdom mean? Is it a mind that develops mirror-like wisdom through seeing the empty nature of anger? My understanding is anger is not wisdom.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. So all about of these questions. So then the angry emotion is wisdom or not? Yeah, generally with angry emotion is wisdom, mirror like wisdom. Yes. But then how is it? So it is very much related to how we utilize it. So if we know some skillfully, we understand how to relate with something, how to bring something together. So there are amazing things. Maybe you heard, perhaps you heard that number one is a mad dog, yeah, like a crazy dog. Actually, we don't use crazy dog, mad dog. And then there is a snow cook. Snow cook is one bird. In Tibet has that. This bird not stay near the people, always mountainside. It's a dang 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 dang. And some says they teach Dharma. It's difficult that to understand everything is impermanent, but it's difficult. So some heard like that. This bird sound is a Goka, goka. Goka means go means hearing, understanding. Ka means difficult. Difficult to understand what is that. All how to say, these material things are impermanent, but people so hard to difficult to understand. Beat you. Usually we think, oh, I'm going to the hospital. Yes, that's generally how we try to treat or try to purify this obscuration. But there is sometimes if bad dog beat you, and if you heard that bird's sound, then one recovers from there. So these kind of interdependence are very kind of unique, but it's unbelievable. There are many situations are unbelievable. So so this is an example. I don't know how much related that, but I just bring this. And then anger emotion and wisdom seems very different things, yeah. Like a snow cook, the birds, and a mad dog, like that. So angry emotion means a very kind of uncomfortable feeling, and it's very how to say, strong afflictive emotion. Wisdom means it's very gentle, soft, and clarity, simplicity, and intrinsic awareness. So that is a very amazing. So then how should we know that very kind of ugly thing is transformed into the paramount wisdom? So there are many methods. That's often we heard from spiritual masters, from their path instructions. So I don't have particular information about that. But the thing is, angry emotion, number one, angry emotion is a very strong feeling. This feeling bring by karmic winds, and it brings into the heart chakra. That is how in the Dharma says. So it brings into the heart chakra, and in the heart there are thousands of channels. Probably there are medically different names, but the common name is channels. There are thousands of channels. So that's where these channels, some channels are very they have very small hole, very thin, very tiny. So, and when we are angry, it's become it. Then this very strong karmic wind comes through come to this area of heart chakra, and at that time, then this wind push some blood in the blood through this channel, and then sometimes if we throw some garbage into the kitchen sink, they block. Likewise, it's blocked channels, and then wind cannot transform through this way, and there are lots of problems. But your question is how transform into wisdom. So other methods you already know, but the reason I'm talking a little bit about the negative parts is because sometimes if we understand, oh, anger emotion is not good things, not good things. It's not a good thing for others and not good thing for ourselves. So if we generally have this kind of we are acknowledging that, then it's pretty easy to eliminate. Pretty easy to eliminate. And then we have little opportunity to commitment that I will not engage anger emotion tomorrow, or at least this afternoon or something, or in this time. Tomorrow I'm going to meet somebody. I know their behavior character, but I should be how to say, be alert that to eliminate my angry emotion, something like that. So that's where if we have less angry emotion, then this small angry emotion is pretty simple. That's where we easily or quickly, pretty easy to transform into wisdom light. But then usually the best way is we are looking at the angry emotion. We don't follow it. When angry emotion arises here, suddenly we acknowledge, understand that. Right after, we don't reject it. We don't try to reject it. And we don't follow that. We don't follow means if I'm angry somebody and suddenly start to use some harsh word or act some harmful actions. We don't do that. But also don't look at that person, for example. It's your angry emotion. So you don't focus that person, but look at the angry emotion. Just look. Usually in Dharma meditation path instructions, it's a watch. Just watch your angry emotion. Oh, this is angry emotion. No more explain that. This is an angry emotion. And if you can maintain there, if your shamatha meditation is well, you can remain there pretty longer. If your shamatha is not stable, then you should replace again and again. Oh, this is angry emotion. This is angry emotion. So in this moment, angry emotion is number one. Generally, we say impermanent. Impermanent. For that reason, when it starts to arise, at the same time, it starts to disappear. So if we let it go, it almost ready to tell us goodbye, but sometimes we don't let it go. So that's why we watch it. We watch it, and then slowly, what happens? Slowly, this angry emotion, the power of this angry emotion disappear. But still, at the same time, what happens is we experience very peaceful. So first, your experience is a peaceful mind, very peaceful, relaxed. So then, sometimes it's possible you are a little bit attached that experience. I think it's good. Generally, we say don't fixate, but in the first time, still it's good. Then you feel that I'm free from angry emotion. So you have very peaceful. You experience very peaceful peace and very relaxed. So that's where, generally, we are not angry. At that time, we cannot feel that. But after, when we have a strong angry emotion, then we apply some antidote that right now what I mentioned, talking about. Like this way, you just watch, and the angry emotion transform its angry emotion. The power of angry emotion disappear. You are very relaxed and kind of relaxed, at ease. Mm. So, but then that is relaxing, or what's the peaceful experience is not ignorant. Mm. That is your mind is very clear. That your mind is peaceful and clear. That is the wisdom. Wisdom and candlelight are very same. So candlelight itself is clarity. Its job is to remove darkness. That's all. But itself, it's always like clear and light. That's where we don't want to look at the light through the other light. Yeah. Did anyone did that? I'm going to look at the candlelight, but I'm going to turn my flashlight. Where is my candlelight? Anyone does that? Nobody did that. Yeah. So that means it has natural light. So that's where when your angry emotion, the power of angry emotion disappear, at the same time your mind is spontaneously clear. So that is how you the angry emotion transform into the light, wisdom. Okay. Thank you.
Next question. Can you explain a little more about correct conduct? I understand that you have to be a role model as a bodhisattva, but what can be said about wild yogis that act against normal social constructs?
Thank you. So first, let me a little bit clarify something. Sometimes when I say the winds gathering here, heart chakra, so but you don't think always there are some negative winds gathering here. Okay, so there are many good, the energetic winds. They are also gathering here. So that's where this the how to say the when we are angry, the winds coming here, and generally our practices at that time wind gathering the heart chakra and other chakras are different. So that's where there are quite similar things but not same, like leopards and cats. Quite similar but not same. And then the conduct is I think means this is I personally I cannot say, oh, this is that, do those and this, but if I exactly bring from these teachings, Buddha's teaching, so the majority practitioners, okay, today is new life. Every morning is our new life. So in the past, we don't bring too much, bring back. But since from today, usually we try to be Kundazambo, which means Samenta Badara. Samenta means always. Kunda means, in Tibetan, Kunda means always, anytime. Zambo means Badara, Samita Badara. Badara means Zambo. Zambo means excellent. So we try to keep excellent conduct. Especially we are the practitioner of the Bodhichitta. So the reason we are learning many things, and teach. For example, our guru, almost 87 years old, but still gave us these profound teachings. So continually. So that means what is their expectation. For example, His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche, he very much emphasized that about the Bodhichitta. He tried to plant Bodhichitta in our mind. So the reason, for that reasons, from ourselves, what is our biggest responsibility is we are going to increase our Bodhichitta. So that's where when we practice Bodhichitta, it is very much related to other people. Because in the Bodhisattva vows and so forth, they says, always try to benefit other. other beings. Try to help others. If you cannot help others, don't harm others. That is how you help others. That's where always we are going to look ourselves. We should be mirror of ourselves and look at us ourselves and try to improve our conduct, behavior, motivation, of course. So this is a very important from our side. And then when we are focused towards the other side, also it's less judgy. It's better. Because if how much we try to observe, try to find others' faults, we find countless of numbers, the faults of others. So then the reason is how much we bring, actually the quality of thoughts is like that. Sometimes my socks, if I don't wear shoes, I wear only socks and just going outside, or the piece of grass, it brings piece of grass, and then it harms my feet, for example. So likewise, if through our negative thoughts, how much we bring others negative things, where they goes, we cannot reduce their, if we can purify some, reduce their faults, sometimes we do, but that is, we should be very smart. But the main thing is all this negative information comes here, and then we punish ourselves. So that is where we try to always try to focus through the pure motivation, pure perception. So that's where we should keep very submit about our conduct. This is very important. At the same time, what we should know, as I said, exactly in the teaching says, for example, there is a Mahasiddha Saraha. We say he is a father of Mahasiddha. He said, before I wasn't full ordained monk, but since from today I am the full ordained monk. He said that. So reason is, before he was Nalinda master, he gave full ordained vow to Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna is his disciple. But after he gave his the full ordained monk's vow to the Nagarjuna, and after, and he was boss in the Nalinda, but he left Nalinda and he went to the forest and something like that. But his behavior is become very unique, and in the majority people cannot fathom it. It's quite unfathomable, kind of unbelievable. Oh, what is that? Something like that. So sometimes those Mahasiddhas has like this kind of they show or they display kind of these actions. So this also we try to understand. That is how generally we need general knowledge in the Dharma. So if we have like that, we can make very kind of divided things, right or wrong. If there is something wrong, yeah, of course. But sometimes kind of Mahasiddhas, it's same like Naropa. Naropa also went to the forest, and they showed is a very unique conduct, something like that. That is also should keep in our mind. This is also very important. So I'm not sure how much clear my answer, but now I'm just don't talking about the some behind the situation. I'm later try to talk something since from today, but main thing is I'm talking to myself. Okay, I cannot give you advice something honestly. You all have great experiences, but then just a little bit wake up in the whole situations, that helps a lot. That's what I think. Thank you.
Next is an online question.
Mm-hmm.
Paramitas. My question is, what is the difference practicing the paramitas in everyday activities without the Bodhisattva vow compared to practicing the paramitas after taking the Bodhisattva vow?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. So actually, this is probably you heard that. Sometimes there are a little bit contradictions. I mean, this directly we focus there. One, there's after we receive a Bodhisattva vow, it never break. Did you heard before that? After you receive a Bodhisattva's vow, then this vow never break. Other like a Sukhavati vow and those vows, we can break them, but Bodhisattva vow never break. So which means actually Bodhichitta is quality of Buddha nature. So we cannot cut the sunlight, because sunlight is the sun's qualities. But the thing is, Rinpoche also this morning mentioned very kind of the same this way. So these sometimes we forget Bodhichitta. So that main thing is in the King of Aspiration said we are going to remember our previous lives. There are very important thing. That is, if we remember our previous lives, one benefit is that great benefit is that we remember, oh, at that time I took Bodhisattva vow. So we remember, and then at that time this Bodhisattva vow is always there. So we after I died, and then my consciousness enters another body. At that time, my brain and heart, this physically is different. So I don't have all the some conditions. So I forget. It's very possible. Actually, that's said in the Bodhisattva vows that. So usually Bodhisattva vows are not break. So that means Bodhisattva vow, after you receive Bodhisattva vow, it's remain very long until attain Buddhahood. But then one thing is we say, oh, contradiction means break samaya, which means after we break samaya, then that means we break our love, Bodhichitta, you know. So that's where this that means Bodhisattva's vow has fruition. The resultant of Bodhichitta is so hard to merge. My answer is after you receive Bodhisattva vow, you practice paramitas, and before you receive Bodhisattva vow, you do these are there are huge difference because of benefits. Because when you have a Bodhichitta vow in your mind, at that time you are Bodhisattva. You are Bodhisattva. So that sometimes we are not believe ourselves, yeah. So if we have Bodhichitta at that time, if we aren't Bodhisattva, then who is Bodhisattva? We cannot find. So that's why when we have Bodhichitta and Bodhisattva's vow, at that time, all the practices are become very great. For example, there are some flowers, but there is water. That's where this water, the glass is important. At the same time, main important thing is water for the flowers. Likewise, all the merits, virtues are related to Bodhichitta. When you have a Bodhichitta, then your merits or virtues and all of these things are very wide, like a boundless space. So that's where there are big difference when you have Bodhichitta. But we have Bodhichitta and Bodhisattva vow, and then when we dedicate or we practice at that time, we should arise it. We should apply that. We work with that. Then it has more power, more benefits. Thank you.
A follow-up part of that question
Mhm.
is, when we have taken the Bodhisattva vow, how do we maintain and restore it exactly? If we break the vow,
Yes.
how do we fix it?
All right. So this how maintain is actually you recite the Shantideva's way of conduct, and also you recite this 37 way of a Bodhisattva's life. This is each and every verse gives you profound path instructions on how to keep Bodhichitta and Bodhisattva's vow. So there are some is a method to increase your Bodhichitta, some is method to prevent the obstacles of Bodhichitta and Bodhisattva's vow. Some method is for maintain your Bodhichitta. So that is a great question. So you are going to understand how engage those verses and Bodhichitta, and then how to how to confess, for example, or how you after you break Bodhisattva's vow. There are several methods. If you have a spiritual master, and then you should go there, and actually it says you are going to not hiding your faults. That means you internally willing to purify it. So you should share that your spiritual master, if this is comfortable, and then you share, and then you commitment. Okay, I took a refuge vow, or sorry, the Bodhisattva vow, received the Bodhisattva vow, but at that time it happened, and since from today, I am going to keep Bodhisattva vow purely. So please just give me again. So this is how you can do. And if you don't have some spiritual masters inconvenient or in front of you or so forth, and then you have these tankas and statues, stupa, and then these in front of them, then you prostration or half prostration, doesn't matter. So you do prostration 3 times or more than, and then you share. I think that is more convenient because you are only yourself in your room. Yeah, maybe Buddha's heard that, but it's good. Yeah, your guru heard that, it's good. But then you share, and then internally you say, since from today I will not. Since from today I will not engage like that, and then so you receive again. So this is the how you restore your Bodhisattva's vow. Okay.
Next question. Can you please define aspiration and share why it is powerful?
Yeah, this actually in Tibetan, Moon Lam. Moon means aspiration. Lam means their path. Actually, Moon means aspiration. Lam means path. So, what is your inspire or the aspiration? Is first you create. Create means you you image or you visualize a good path. For example, may all mother sentient beings have happiness. So happiness is a good path. So may all mother beings have happiness means then you bring them on this path. So aspiration, Mulam means that. And also you also join there on this path. Mulam means that. And then this is a powerful, this is a very much related actually subtle karma. So in the 7 verses of Tara, the green book, very small book, it says, one stand up actually it doesn't say exactly that stand up, but stand up or sit on the perfect way, but still one does not understand clearly causal and resultant things, which means karma, cause and effect. So that really happens. It's happened. So that's where if we don't want to go in more details, but this as you asked, these prayers, how do they benefit us? So this is a pretty subtle karma cause and effect. So when Buddha was in the Bodh Gaya, at that time, I don't remember exactly that place is Bodh Gaya or Krishnagar or somewhere. Then one family, there was a wife and husband. And husband went out somewhere, and his wife invited Buddha, and then she offered lunch to the Buddha and Buddha's attendants, Buddha's disciples. And this is Buddha how did. And then after Buddha ate that food, and then Buddha dedicated. After that, then Buddha told to her, today you gave me the food, so this fruition is, after this life, you will reborn in the heaven. So Buddha told her that. And then she was so happy, of course. So happy, and she was very excited to share that to her husband. And husband came back at home, and she shared that. And he didn't believe that. And then he went to the Buddha. He thought Buddha deceived his wife. And then he told to Buddha, because he said small things, seems he did not greet about that food, but he thought is small things. The result is the kind of this amazing result, the kind of these situations, causal and resulting things has different sides. So that's where he doesn't believe. And also he thought that Buddha deceived her. And then he went to the Buddha, and my wife told me like this, so did you tell her that? And then Buddha said, yes, I did. And then he asked Buddha, how do you know that? And then Buddha looked at his face, because he was a little bit aging, and that means And then near them, Buddha and their conversation, near there is a big tree, huge tree. And then first Buddha asked him, did you see that small seed, kind of small thing has a great result? Buddha asked him that. He said, yes, I saw that. Where is that? He said, this banyan tree. There is a tree. Tree is very tall and big, like taller than the small house, like that. Banyan tree, maybe everybody knows, very big. So, but that seed is very small. So that's where he replied, Buddha, and that. And then Buddha said, who know that? And then he said, I know that. He replied, Buddha, I know that because I saw that. And the Buddha replied, same thing. I know your wife today gave me this lunch, but this fruit result, karmic result, she will reborn in the heaven. So that I saw, because I see this from my clairvoyance. Conversation could liberate. So he liberated from there. So that's where, so some subtle, this karmic, sometimes the how to say, the subtle karmic fruitions are pretty difficult to understand, but there is. So the main thing is this aspiration. There are the collective karmic power. So which means you all and we all do together, recite together. So then the verbally we recite together. Even we heard the sound and melodies, there has some power. That is the very logic, scientifically we prove. Yeah, my mind is something, we feel something that we know. And then later, invisibly, there are very special power. Is we call secret power is over Bodhichitta. And then inner power is those outer power, inner power, they come together. So that's where this prayer is very powerful. These aspirations are very powerful. As Rinpoche said, the dedication, after dedicate, and then we recite these prayers, aspiration prayers. It provides everywhere. It's like we loudly say something, you know. So it provides everywhere, and so whoever hear that, it create great imprint for them. Okay.
Next question. If clairvoyance is important for bodhisattvas to save sentient beings, how can we develop it?
Oh, that is the best way is shamatha. Shamatha. If you meditate shamatha, if you meditate very well about shamatha, the clairvoyance will arises. So the shamatha is very important. Shamatha is actually there are different classifications of shamatha, attributes or these non-attributes, shamathas. There are many methods. It's okay. First, you bring all of these things together. The clairvoyance is actually part of omniscience. Omniscience is completely fruits, completely, how to say, blossomed. Clairvoyance is still not, but still. So the reason is we start to meditate shamatha, and our attention comes together. Our attention comes together, and then our minds getting clearer and clear, becomes clear and clear. So our mind becomes clear, and then pretty this easy to see others' mind. The reason is others' mind, your mind and my mind is in the reality there's no different. In the reality there's no different. Who know are they different? But for example, we are different here because I'm wearing these clothes. Perhaps you see, oh, it's beautiful clothes. Perhaps you see, you think it's very bizarre clothes. Even when the weather is very hot, still it's covered, raw everywhere. But you have one cloth, I have these like that. So otherwise, I have 2 arms, you too. I have 10 fingers, you too. So same like our body conditions, organs, and all of these things. Likewise, in the reality, your mind and our minds are no different. There is almost no doubt. Actually, it's quite. If I go back a little bit, you ask how angry emotion transform into the wisdom. So that's answer is quite related. That too. When you trust that your mind is others, this person's mind are no different. Really, there's no different. And angry emotion, you melt some, transform into the wisdom. At that time, you have some experience. These are very joyful, very joyful. So you try. Dharma is actually, if you don't want to try, then it's quite hard. When you practice Dharma, you should become scientist, which means at least you are going to try. I have a little monkey mind, crazy monkey mind. At least I go back in my room. I tried when I heard new things. I tried whether I'm lie down in my bed or sit on chair, doesn't matter. So you also do that. At least do that, and then in the most of time, it brings you into the good stage. So that's where Dharma. Usually we say, "Oh, Dharma means for practicing." Okay, practicing is important, or learning is important. Both importances are there. We are here. That means then Dharma quite hard to benefit. Even aspirations. When recite aspirations, it's the words are very sweet. It's a very, even we focus, understand each and every word. They are really I think it's I don't think the laboratory. Yeah, they liberate us at that moment. At that time, we are really inside of this movie, this stage. So that's where then less tired and after that makes something to our mind. Blazing means that. So it really helps our mind. So always you try. After, for example, it doesn't matter. Even I say this is very important. It's profound. There are, for example, 50 people. I say one thing is very important, and everybody has different karma in the different karmic conditions. So one thing is maybe important for everyone, but it's important after a few years later, or already important, or something like that. So that's where you try and you think, oh, this maybe right now, this is the better. Then you do what is the better thing. You continually practice, So, but if you don't try, then it's quite hard to experience. So, Dharma, when you practice Dharma, happily practice. I use very simple words, happily, but if we come into the 6 paramitas, perfections, diligence. Diligence means enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is practice happily. If you do retreat for 1 month or 1 hour or whole life, do it happily. If you chant only for a few words, do it kind of with enthusiasm. That is important. Another thing important is, that is a pity. You agree with me or not, it's your choice. So what I think is, I'm going to there to study it. I'm going to study philosophy, Buddhism, something like that. Or I'm going to do retreat there and doing something. Don't count books. Don't count days and times. But what should we do is, I'm going to retreat 7 days for shamatha. Okay, 7 days is not important at that time. Usually important, but there is a very particularly important thing is, for 7 days, at least 7 days, I try to gain some realization. This is really important. So I'm going to try to gain some realization. So, and then when you learn or same thing. So I'm going to learn that book, this book, those books. These are generally how we do, but at least I'm trying to understand the part of emptiness, or at least I must try to understand the relation between the interdependence and emptiness. So if you don't know more, it's okay when you come back. If you know the very special thing there, the relation between the interdependence and the emptiness. So this is generally we should do. And then happily practice is really, really important. Because the Dharma practice means we have to benefit this life and next life both. And when other, right now we all Dhamma practitioners. And then third person, if they are non-Buddhist and they focus towards us, and we make some, how to say, aspiration, we make them some, we should, how to say, show good things, you know. When they think, oh, if I become Buddhist, it's very nice. I love to do it. So then we can directly or indirectly can benefit. That's what I think generally. So the happily practice when you do retreat, meditate, and recite, and always 24/7 be happy is, I think, too much. Is it? Because we have thoughts. Even I can't. So if I tell you, just lip service. But I have big hope. So we all have hope. So hope is also a foundation of faith. Faith is a foundation of view. So view is the stage of Dharmakaya. So that's where we try as much as possible doing happily. So sometimes our renunciation and we generate the compassion. How should we happily practice, you know? So that, maybe you have that question, may not, just in case. So happily, when you generate compassion, don't feel that is some jobs for or these kind of traditions or these programs, job is that. Don't feel. Real, you are going inside of compassion. As this morning Rinpoche said, devotion and compassion, it has a huge rivers. Where these rivers follow? Here, two eyes. So when we arise devotion, tails rolling down here, these tails are nectars. When we generate compassion, the tails come from the eyes. These are nectars, which means at that time our feeling is a very healthy, hygienic feeling, really. And so that's we should try. Okay, if you think it's pretty agreed, and we all try that. Thank you.
Next question. How is merely meditating without actually helping a single sentient being not the limited love contained in a cow's footprint?
So that meditation is Milarepa is actually, you know, sometimes in his songs, some words is very sharp. I don't know, I can't translate it, I know that. There is one like a deer. Deer in Tibet has there, but I forgot the name. It's mule or something like that. Musk deer or something, or musk deer. So Milarepa said, they stay in the cave very long. They stay in the cave very long. And then some black birds, they recite many mantras. So Milarepa start to scold us, his disciples. So which means if we meditate always, or at least there are two jobs, the beginning and end. Which means beginning we generate compassion and Bodhichitta. And we dedicate that merit. And then middle of there, the best thing is still we practice with Bodhichitta. If we can't, still we try to focus the meditate. So that's where there's a Jorngu Jisom. Jorngu means is preliminary. First, Ngu means main practice. Ji means dedication. These three things are always very important. In the Amitabha Sukhavati Pure Land prayer, it also mentioned. So always we try to practice with these three things. So that's where when you meditate, if you have time to recite something, you do. If you don't have time to recite, you little bit arise Bodhichitta. This morning, Garchen also mentioned about Tara Tara spoke to many gurus, as well as Atisha. So Atisha, when he was a Bodhigaya, he circumambulated round of the Bodhigaya stupa, and he thought that how I should benefit all beings. And Tara told, practice Bodhicitta. So that's where Tara spoke to him. So Bodhicitta, you just arise Bodhicitta, but sometimes you kind of accidentally. That is actually okay. So first you don't have opportunity to engage, generate Bodhicitta and compassion, and you main practice, but don't forget dedication. So dedication, you can practice dedication with the arise Bodhicitta, compassionately or through Bodhicitta. So then your meditation is become real samadhi. So samadhi means meditation equipoise meditation, or meditation equipoise samadhi or something. Buddha has 2 stages, yeah. So that's where right now we it's how long we meditate is we can meditate. It depends practitioners, but try to practice with at least try to combine with these 3 things. One main thing is meditation, yeah, and Bodhicitta, dedication. If can't, Bodhicitta. If can't, dedication, yeah. No, it's getting more easy, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Next question. I rarely remember to dedicate the merit immediately. Is it of benefit to dedicate merit later, even a day, a week, or a year later?
Yes, actually the best, I start from best way to dedication is here says, for example, you are meditate on the dissolution, this completion stage. Everything dissolve into the, for example, syllable Hong, and Hong from Shabju to the Achong to the Ha to the Moon to the Sun to Nada to the, you completely rest at ease. And before another thought interrupts, you acknowledge that, you start to dedicate. It says that is purely how you dedicate. Or you, instead of dedicate, you again replace on that stage is okay. So this is the best way. And then you coming, the other way is another best way is to dedicate is if something other interrupt. For example, you are meditate or chanting something, somebody gave you chocolate, and then you eat that. You have no other afflictive thoughts, just eat, and you make somebody's mouth has more water. Something it's yummy, very yummy, and you didn't give other people. Just kidding. So you eat that, and then that is at that time your thoughts is quite not completely non-virtue, yeah. And so after that you dedicate is still good. So that way in English as a good, bad, better, best, or something like that. So good. And then, okay, you do that, and you, for example, recite prayers, and then after days later, you can dedicate, of course. But between there, if there's no negative thoughts, that is excellent. But when you dedicate, sometimes this is also important. Okay, dedication means first I'm going to do something and then dedicate. Until now, probably you feel you think that, is it? Me too. But in the reality, always we can dedicate, because Buddhas, 10 directions Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are always 24/7 cultivate merits. So that's where merits of our previous lives, in the past Buddhas, present Buddhas, future Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, our gurus, and supreme assemblies. We are supreme assemblies. So all of this merit we bring together. This is a special method. This is a very unique. That's Shantideva and Lord Jigten Sangha. They say belong. first belong, and then offer that. So if we dedicate some huge things, small things are very easy, yeah. So that's where this is a special method to purify the self-grasping too. So anytime you can dedicate, but don't forget the best one, okay? Thank you.
Next question. Today, Garchen Rinpoche mentioned 3 Nirmanakayas. He explained the created Nirmanakaya. Could you explain a bit more about this and about the other 2, the incarnated Nirmanakaya and the manifold Nirmanakaya?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Actually, this I think right now I try to speaking with my broken English. I don't know how much make clear for you or more confused. So that's where please don't let me cultivate negative karma. So my request is you go to the GBI, this YouTube. Just recently I taught about 3 kayas in the Gambobas jewel ornament. Inside us are very clear about 3 kayas and their definitions, classifications, their activities. So there is mentioned very clearly because I read that. So then I feel no doubt. I read in English. Hopefully my pronunciation is not so strange. So otherwise you can understand very clearly. But then one thing is some Dharma friends asked me quite similar this question. I always say that Nirmanakaya means when we recite Milarepa's song with devotion, as Milarepa arose devotion to the Marpa, if we recite at that time, we are become Milarepa's Nirmanakaya. Our songs is our Weber's the sound become Milarepa's the song. So that's where Nirmanakaya means the all these good things are Nirmanakayas, good things which benefit others. They are all Nirmanakayas. Nirmanakaya means Dharmakaya. For Dharmakaya is like an empty space. So then Sambhogakaya means there is clouds. Nirmanakaya means rain. Rain drop on the ground, then fruits, apples, they all grow on the ground, and then we can eat that. So how benefit us? In the reality, the Nirmanakaya is power of the Dharmakaya or quality of Dharmakaya and a part of the Sambhogakaya. So that is important. But the reincarnation and Nirmanakaya is very similar. So that's where reincarnations, I don't know, reincarnations are Nirmanakaya. Nirmanakaya, some Nirmanakaya we don't use reincarnation, yeah? So for example, statues. So statues are Nirmanakaya because statues greatly benefit. Maybe if this is not, you heard that in the Lhasa, maybe you have been in the Lhasa, but you heard that Jokang, there are Shakyamuni Buddha's statue. The one person went there and he spoke to the Buddha's statue. Buddha's statue is always smiles, and but he did not reply anything, but he thought he is a happy person. So that's where he communicates, but the power of his faith, his good power of his merit and the good karma, eventually that Buddha came to his homeland. Buddha came to his homeland, and then its reflection appear in the water. Still there is a Cho. Cho means water, Jo means name of the Buddha statue, yeah. Then Do Jo means another stone has a Buddha statue. So these are very natural. They weren't people making. People did not make them. So that's where Nirmanakaya means that everywhere. The books, Dharma books are Nirmanakaya. So respect, Dharma books are really important. The Buddha says in the future degenerated time, I came as a book. So Buddha said that. So we respect Nirmanakaya is everywhere. And then in the human's life, when our Bodhichitta mind is also Nirmanakaya. Thank you.
Next question. I believe Rinpoche said that the meditative state of non-distraction and love is beneficial to understanding the union of the two truths. Could you please expand on that, especially what the meaning of the union of the two truths means?
Yes, this is the union is actually these two are externally there are two things make union. This is we can do, but that's not important. Okay, union means you see their yadam or some, for example, guru, and then it merges into your mind. At that time, oh, this is my mind, this is my guru. There is no different. You don't have this feeling. So this is union. Okay. There are many explanations, but you know them. I think you know. And time is also not very important.
Can you please describe some practices to cultivate immeasurable love, including basic Tong Len?
Yes, actually, the first I would like to say what is the meaning of immeasurable. That is not I am measurable. Immeasurable means when you think all mother thinking beings, at that time your mind, who can fathom? Nobody can fathom. At that time your mind is boundless. Immeasurable means that nobody can measure that. So all mother thinking beings. So that at that moment your mind is very open. That is 100% open. So that's immeasurable. And then Tonglen is actually in ancient Mahasiddhas, Kadampas, and those. There are many stories how they practice. Sometimes there are two things put here. Their training give here, and left hand give right hand give left. They're trained through this way about Tonglen and generosity practices. So Tonglen means right now when you practice, there are many methods, profound methods, but the one thing is in the daily life we are engaged, breathe in and out. So when you breathe out, then all your merits, your good things, you dedicate others. Oh, this I can't use, it's too big for me, it's too small for me, I give you. Not like that, yeah? This, I like that, but I give you. So that's where I like my merits, but I give you. Because without you, I cannot become Dharmakaya. So that is real, that is truth. Truth means that. So that's where all your merits, if you exercise with your breath, is okay. If sometimes the can't, is okay. The main thing is you dedicate. Sometimes when you breathe, at that time, your breath goes through nostrils. There are five colors of breath goes. Do you know? There are 5 elements. Because the essence of 5 elements are here, so this wind goes through this way. So this wind provides everywhere. So that's where that is real true. That's where from your mind also all your merits, powers, good things you dedicate. And then those beings has sufferings, problems. You bring them. When you breathe in, if you particularly practice Tonglen, you breathe in with bring them. Or if you don't, still you just bring them. Bring them, and you don't become like a very kind of how to say, you don't punish by yourself, which means you bring them and dissolve into the emptiness. Or if you practice Vajrasattva, there are other, like a lot of deaths, visualize their laws. Yeah, but the main thing is you bring them and dissolve into the emptiness. And then again give merits them. So this is the one way of practicing Tonglen. Yeah.
Next question. What is the difference between bodhicitta and bhakti?
So actually that I have no knowledge about the Hindu, but in Tibetan, this Vajrayana and the Sutrayana and logical. So I touched every word, which means I studied all of these things, whether I know profoundly or not. But so they mentioned about those things. So in briefly, I think the important thing today you should know that is we recite mantra. For example, Tara's mantra only recite thumb. So the one very important thing is you say thumb and table, there are huge difference. Okay, so reason is you say thumb, so which comes from natural sound of inner winds, inner wisdom winds. Inner wisdom winds, the sound is like thumb, 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 or hong, hong. So this sound you throw your vibration, it comes outside. So that's where, for example, there is a big fire, there are big wind, it's support to that fire, and this fire became bigger and bigger. Likewise, if your wisdom wind, you recite thumb, thumb, and then the natural sound of your inner wind is thumb, thumb. That's where then it become this your wisdom wind becomes powerful, and then in through channels, all this the kind of cause of a disease like a film disease and so forth, they purifies. It purifies them, and your channels become very clear. And then this at that time your mind is also become clear. Your mind channel inner winds, wisdom winds are very relation. And then bodhicitta means also bodhicitta. Right now we say bodhicitta of mind, and then bodhicitta of tile, bindu. So if it goes very detailed, so eventually bodhicitta transform into the Buddha. So that's where they have very much related. So then another thing is very important is as Lord Jigten Sunggung mentioned in Buddha's single attention, all the virtues, the activities of virtues are activities of Buddhas. So that's where all these mantras and those good things, all of the good things are activities of Buddhas. So that is also, I think, important to know that to improve pure perceptions and keep more happy mind and more close towards Buddhas. So Buddha means not outside. So Buddha is in the nature state of mind. So
next question. To beseech the Buddhas not to pass into nirvana always makes me feel guilty. That's a lot to ask. How can I move beyond this?
I think this is, if you have happened, that my understanding, even I misunderstand, please, sorry for that. If you feel that, Buddha and Milarepa, they are always here, they were not go to the stage of nirvana, and then that message or voice makes uncomfortable for you, and you like that Buddha is nirvana and there is probably some pure land or something, you follow that. That is also not so false. The reason is Rinpoche often mentioned the same Milarepa and all these masters say that we are not go anywhere, always in the empty space, which means in Dharma Dhatu space. So which means some disciples, they think, this is real body and they are real passed away. No, I don't have a guru. So then they almost suicide and they have a lot, so they suffer a lot. So that's where for purifying that, they utilize this method. And in the reality also, it's true for them. That is, so what is if you think, okay, Buddha passed away in nirvana, but still you have a devotion. Well, Buddha is in the nirvana. Then that is still okay. If you think that is more comfortable, you keep going that. Most of the time we do that. So we are saying.
Next question. Is it possible to attain enlightenment without taking monastic vows? Or is it possible to achieve enlightenment as a householder with a family and a husband?
Oh, yes. There is a yes and no question. Answer, sorry. So, yes means that if you don't have a secret monastic vow, you will not able to attain Buddhahood. What is that? Bodhichitta. If one doesn't have Bodhichitta, one cannot attain Buddhahood. So that's one thing. Another thing is, of course, without taking this monastic vow, one can attain Buddhahood. Number one is one need Bodhichitta. Bodhichitta and one, this is the principle. So then practice. But the thing is, there is says willed field turn into the cultivated one. Do you know what is that? So the ground, if ground has we do water, and then we plug means we dig, and then we plant some seed out there like crops or barley or something, and then something green things grow there. Some ground is no water, it's very dry, and we try to plant something, it's quite difficult. So likewise, the main thing is if you have a monastic vow, then on this vow you cultivate lots of profound merits on there. But it's not only monastic vow, even you have refuge vow. Refuge vow is the foundation, so foundation of all the vows. So that's where all the monastics and non-monastics, the important thing, common thing, which is very important, is a secret vow, which is a Bodhisattva's vow.
There's one follow-up question to something you said before. About needing to share our experience with our guru and asking for guidance on our spiritual path. So does that mean we have to try to go see our guru in person to ask directly? Or since the student has a non-dual, not dualistic devotion toward the guru, and that would mean the guru's mind and the student's mind are non-dual. So how do you balance practicing in a different place than where your guru lives? And trying to make an effort to come meet your guru in person?
Yes, this actually either way one can do that. So my background, that's traditionally, even we don't have that when we teach and listen, we don't have much microphone or something like that. So most of the time is person to person as occurred like that situation. But that also, as you said, the power of non-duality, Guru's blessing, your faith, that is actually most closest situation. So that's where Garchen Rinpoche's root guru, Lama Dorje, one time he was in the his birthplace area, not exactly the same, but another place. They invited him for celebrate the new temple, and he need to blessing consecrate that. So that's where he could not go there, but. There are two gurus. One is Lama Dorji, another guru. Devotion and bliss near his birthplace. Another place between there, if we ride horse, at least 2 or 3 days we should go there. But this race exactly reached there. Who said that? Rinpoche told us. It's really, horse says, if your devotion is pure, then blessing is always very closest, very near with you. So that absolutely you can't do through that way. And these times, perhaps this is a very fortunate time, which means actually Lord Jigten Sunggu says, degenerated time and fortunate time is practitioners can do that. So that's where right now we have a great opportunity about internet, and you are you know how to write, and through this way sometimes it's very possible that is an easy way to get you some answers, so that is so there are many opportunities.
Thank you so much, Khenpo, for answering all of our questions. And can you please lead us in a short dedication prayer so we can dedicate the merit?
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, we will do. There's page number 28. Okay, page number 28, yellow book. Chanjo semjo Rinpoche ma je ba na je je ba nyam ba me ba yang go ne gonde me May Bodhichitta, the precious and supreme mind, arise in whom it has not yet arising. Where it has arising, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Thank you so much. May your Bodhichitta increase higher and higher. When you go back at home, you should be Bodhisattva, okay? You are spiritual master of your family, really. So that is my biggest hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khenpo. And everyone, please continue to formulate your questions. And if your question was not answered today, please submit it tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, everyone, please head over to the gathering hall. Kathleen will begin teaching the Qigong class